Hello and welcome to the home of British Formula One, it's Silverstone. Now we're racing this weekend on the 2.2 mile international circuit, and this is the Lotus on Track Elise Trophy. The cars are now lining up ready for race one with Chris Randall taking pole. Let's take a look at the full grid.
Well, yet again, it is Chris Randall on pole, also pole for the Class C. Sean Bicknell alongside him, and fastest of the 211 class, Gavin Kirby. Rob Bevis, fastest of Class B, and Steve Williams, fastest in Class A. Going down the grid, some familiar faces like Simon Deacon and Russ Treasure. Ken Savage, Ian Berry, back in the series again. He's been sharing that car with a couple of other drivers throughout the year. Tony Verrier enjoying the Silverstone circuit, and a couple of new names like John Lemaster joining the grid. Hans Baumhart, good to see him joining in once again. A little bit further down, Stuart Malt and Gary Broad. I'm sure there's going to be some action from these guys going forwards. There usually is. Chris Pearson and Vital Chuan enjoying a visit to the Silverstone circuit. So the cars eagerly looking at the lights. Away they go. A good start from both of the front row men. It is Chris Randall, though, who looks to have just got the drop. Alongside him, the 19 of Sean Bicknell. And the grid continues on and on. 40 cars all enjoying the fantastic Silverstone circuit. Now, a man that knows Silverstone better than most people is Rob Bath, senior instructor at the race school there. What's going on here? We've got Tess Howell, our lady racer, looking like she's getting involved with the cars immediately alongside her. In fact, involved with the scenery out wide. Rob, you know this place. What's the trick to being quick round here?
Well, just staying out of trouble is the first thing, Si, and Tess is always involved right in the thick of the action. She's been on the runoff on the outside of Copse Corner there, but Chris Randall, Andrew Walsh and Sean Bicknell making their escape at the front of this massive field.
A very, very tricky section of the circuit, Rob. A lot of bumps as they break into the hairpin there, but they seem to deal with that pretty well.
Yeah, a real mixture of corner speeds on the international circuit. You can see this tight right-hand hairpin riding on board again with Tess Howell. You can see, just like I said before, she's right in the thick of the action cars, locking up ahead, but they make their way out of the Abbey hairpin and down into the fast right-hander at Bridge, and that leads into this corner at Priory.
A very technical final section to lap into the left-hander there at Brooklands, sweeping into the right-hander, the very important right-hander at Luffield. And it doesn't look like our leader, Chris Randall's got that much of a break now. Tess Howell, we've seen on board from her as she's putting pressure. Oh, Chris Fellow has, well, big old moment there, Rob. And not the sort of way that people go off normally.
No. Chris looked like he locked his rear tyres there as he changed down to second gear to take the left-hander at Brooklands, and yeah, into the gravel, I think. But like you say, we're looking at the front of the field there. Chris Randall in the blue car being chased hard by Andrew Walsh in the black car, but the massive field streams through Woodcote and down through Copse Corner, turn 1.
Yeah, Martin Roberts there under a little bit of pressure as he came through Copse. Very short gap between the turn and the apex at Copse. It catches out a lot of people. Obviously now we've got this extra bit of runoff at F1 spec circuit, of course, through the island corner there, and the 43 car of Martin Johnson having a good little scrap. These 211s really have provided some fantastic spectacle. Of course, outright wins for Martin Donnelly, although his car is slightly different to some of the others.
Yeah, Martin Donnelly driving a slightly more modified one, but we saw Stuart Kirkbride there in his Elise battling hard with the 211 of Martin Johnson.
Yeah, but the pack really is starting to get a little bit of a look down the inside there. Does look like maybe Kirkbride and Johnson. Well, this scrap's going to run and run as it to the inside as they come into the left-hander once again at Brooklands. Wonder if Johnson's going to be able to get. Yes, he does. I was thinking whether he could have a look at the inside at Luffield. Well, that was a great manoeuvre there. Really did think that one through. Phil Chatterton just running a little bit further ahead. Wonder if the additional bit of power is going to work for them as they come out of Luffield, Rob.
Additional power maybe, but maybe just a little bit lighter as well. Those 211s about 100 kilos lighter than the Exeges and the Elises, and just use that lack of momentum just to nip through on the inside, that lack of weight. So great stuff there.
Yeah, it's always some familiar faces in a 24 of Doug Setters in a traditional Lotus British Racing green. And he seems to have got a good run through that island complex, and it's such a technical circuit here. In fact, the international circuit that we're running on here at Silverstone for many drivers is the favoured of the 3 most used configurations. Obviously, the national circuit is really fairly straightforward. David Harvey now in his 340R. Isn't that a fantastic shot? Really getting a feel for Bridge Corner as they come in and look at the difficult section they've got here. Down the inside, though, of Setters. Not quite alongside enough, though, Rob.
No, you've got to really fire your car through the apex there, use a lot of curb and maybe even a little bit of grass on the inside of Priory. And the 340R there just not quite close enough, but they're side by side going into Luffield side.
Around the outside can be done. Usually you see when we have slippery conditions perhaps here at Silverstone, maybe the outside line can sometimes be the quicker, a little bit more grip. I know that you've coached a lot of drivers here and given them some tricks. I won't give away your secrets, Rob, but there are sorts of ways that you could do that. Meanwhile, as ever, Chris Randall, Randy to his friends, well, he may well be given some interesting nicknames, but the one that he wants most of all is winner, and he's looking likely that could well be the case again as the 42 car of Gooday getting stuck in once again.
Yeah, Mark Gooday there from Kirkbride in that darker blue Elise behind him. So, yeah, real close racing here. Gooday in the very distinctive orange car. And then Kirkbride, Simon Deakin, and I think that's Phil Chatterton behind there as well. So riding on board now with Martin Roberts.
You can see this section here, really, really important to get out of the Brooklands area through the island chicane and then down here. And you do get a lot of last of the late breakers. Some very heroic driving goes on there. I've seen lots of spectacular incidents and accidents over the years. Very easy to run up on that big curb on the exit, Rob, as well.
Yeah, easy to run up on the big curb, but lots and lots of overtaking going on at Abbey, particularly with these cars that are all quite equal in performance. But this three-way Kirkbride, Deakin and Chatterton battle raging through the complex.
That's one of the great things about the Lotus On Track series is you've seen action throughout the grid. There isn't ever a point in the pack. Oh, a little bit of sideways there from Deakin, very spectacular. Not going to be too good for his traction out of Luffield though, and such an important corner because pretty much from there you're flat all the way through this very fast Woodcote right-hander as a spinner just through the middle of the pack.
Can't quite see the number there, but that's right on the exit of Priory. You do not want to be sat there.
Oh. Is that Chris Feller?
That's Chris Feller, it is. He's in the gravel, he's spun in avoidance. That's exactly the reason you don't want to be sat there.
See, Randall now has got to deal with the challenge of back markers, often the case when we have these mixed classes that we run in. Previously we've been running Class A on it, so now we've got this mixture of classes. He gets down the inside of another Chris Pearson, and the 36 car just ahead of Damien Murray. See him joining in now. Listen here, can he get around the outside of Murray? No, he's been a little bit calmer there, thinking it through. He knows he's got a performance advantage. In fact, that car has just been so quick, and of course Randall's driven it so well. I've commentated on him in the Brick Car 24 hours here in the past, so he knows this place very well.
He does. He's driven it in all manner of conditions, but he's just threading his way through the traffic very, very carefully. The performance difference with these different categories of Lotus means there's quite a high rate of closure in some areas, so you can't lose your concentration for a moment.
This scrap continues between Setters and David Harvey. This time Harvey thinking maybe a little bit more about getting down the inside, but as you said earlier, Rob, really had to get that done early, although it looks like Setters maybe didn't get on the power that well that time, and Harvey has just managed to capitalise on that, get the initiative. He does get better drive out of Luffield, and I wonder if that's going to be job done. It did look like he was a little bit quicker overall. Now, that looks like the very familiar colours of Russ Treasure just involved in a scrap as our race leader comes past once again, punching up through the gears. And Tom Chataway and the 13 car of Matthew Bartlett, another scrap going on. I wonder if there's much difference between the soft top and the hard top in terms of handling performance, Rob.
Oh, I'm not sure. We're looking at Keith Herford there in the orange car. He's just running a little bit wide coming out of Cops Corner. No harm done out onto the AstroTurf there. That can be one of the quickest ways through there. So Keith enjoying his racing.
Well, Harding, meanwhile, down the inside of the 33 car of Michael Edwards, and didn't quite manage to make it stick though. Again, he seemed to get the situation where the cutback didn't work, and a big moment going on inside for Ken Savage. Somehow Martin Roberts is quick enough to avoid him though.
Yeah, Martin Roberts, the choice of heads or tails there. He chose heads, unfortunately he came up trumps. He went one way and the spinning car of Ken Savage went the other.
Well, there's always that rule of aim for the car, because it's usually going to be gone by the time you get there. But this guy hasn't had to worry about that. Absolutely superb as ever. Chris Randall has driven away from the field. He's broken Andrew Walsh and has got the job done to win yet again in the Lotus Elise on-track series. Absolutely superb drive from our winner there. Meanwhile, 19 of Sean Bicknell coming through just ahead of the 23 of Gary Broad. Bicknell, though, going to come in with a podium position, going to be very, very pleased with that. Andrew Walsh, as ever, right up at the very front. Didn't quite have an answer for that man there. So Randall wins from Walsh by just 3.1 seconds. Bicknell, Gavin Kirby wins the 211 class. So Class C won by Chris Randall from Andrew Walsh and Sean Bicknell. Class B, Rob Bevis, Phil Chatterton and Matt Sutton. And Class A, Steve Williams, Stuart Kirkbride and Simon Deacon, with the 211 class being won by Gavin Kirby from Martin Johnston and Mark Gooday. Happy faces on the podium, as ever. It is Chris Randall, our overall victor.
Sean, that was a bit better this week.
Yeah, no, I'm chuffed. You know, we've done a lot of work on the car. Big thanks to Wayne and John from JSR. We got the car running really well. So I was chuffed to be on second, but it was only me really that sort of like muffed it. You know, the car ran brilliantly. So you know, don't get to do this track very often, the international circuit. So it was pretty much new to everyone.
Andrew, did you enjoy that race?
Yeah, it was good, considering the problems we had in qualifying when I was a 7th for most of it. I came back in to give up and managed to get a half-tidy lap. And then Sean decided to think about where Randy was instead of braking. So I went past him and then followed Randy round for the rest of it.
Did you enjoy that one?
Yeah, it was good. I was the back markers definitely got in the way a bit. So I didn't think I was going to have it all my way. But yeah, it went well, went nicely.
And are you running out of room for all your trophies?
There's always room for trophies, come on.
So there you have another exciting and action-packed race from the Lotus on Track Elise Trophy. Join us after the break for race 2.